Hey there YouTube, I'm Forrest the Latter-day Skeptic. In today's video, I want to discuss with you one of the most contentious issues in the religious discussion. I'm going to explain to you my moral reasoning and how I believe it explains how atheists are not destined to be nihilistic and how we can communicate moral obligations and duties. I do believe that objective morality requires an objective moral standard. I know people like Sam Harris have tried to establish an atheistic objective morality, but I'm not convinced by his argument. I don't believe that well-being is an objective moral goal. The more I've thought about it, I've come to the conclusion that morality is almost exclusively about the death and suffering of others. This is the area that most cultures agree is the moral sphere. But why is there this consensus? Should we be concerned about moral subjectivity? Are non-religious people going to spin out of control without an objective moral code? Are we not able to use words like good, bad, should, and ought? I don't think so. And I'm going to explain why using my moral framework that I call subjective universal morality. We are all evolved creatures that exist to pass on our DNA. Because of this, we have minds that are specifically tuned to maximize our survivability. It's clear to me that living in a community or a tribe increases your chances of survival because of group protections, community resources, an increased chance of reproduction, and tons of other reasons. After millennia of living in communities, our minds have adapted to not only care about our survival, but the survival of others, especially those in our own tribe. This is why it's almost impossible to find communities that believe murder and torturing the innocent is okay in their own tribes.
If we didn't have it, we wouldn't have got this far. The usual statement of the nearest statement we can make of the moral absolute, the best approximation we've come up with is what's called the Golden Rule. It's variously stated, but it's usually rendered as something like, don't do to others what you would not wish them to do to you. This, of course, makes it difficult to pass judgment on people like Charles Manson or Adolf Hitler. It's open to the charge that it's only as good as the person making it. That's why I have a difficulty with the idea of moral absolutes, but it's a pretty good approximation. There's no society ever been discovered that doesn't have some such principle. If you tell me that my grandmother's Jewish ancestors got as far as Sinai not knowing that murder and theft and perjury were bad, and only then found out, I will say to you, they wouldn't have got that far if they'd been under another impression. There has been no revelation of this. It doesn't come from on high. It's innate. It's one of the things that makes up for being a primate. If there are some people who don't have it, but we call them psychopathic.
Subjective universal morality states that morality is subjective. There's no objective way to prove that an action is morally good or bad, but it also says that we all have universal mental capacities to understand our role and responsibilities regarding the death and suffering of others. It also gives us the ability to understand the moral language that we use. To illustrate this further, let's use another subjective preference, taste. There's no objective way to prove that pizza is delicious and dog shit is disgusting. However, we all understand what you mean when you say, wow, this pizza is delicious. Of course, there's tons of disagreement in the middle. Do you like sushi or seafood or spinach? But on the edges, there's broad agreement. This is what I'm referring to as subjectively universal. Should we be concerned about the lack of objective standard for taste? Are people going to start going around eating dog feces? Are we not able to say, you shouldn't eat dog poop, or that dog poop tastes gross? We use this language all the time to talk about subjective preferences, and no one is asking us to provide an objective standard for why we shouldn't eat dog poop. We all have taste buds, and we understand what good tastes like and what bad tastes like. Just like with taste, subjectivity does not imply uncontrolled preference. We are not destined for nihilism without God, and we are still able to clearly communicate moral obligations and duties. We ought to help others because thousands of years have proved that our fellow humans are all we have to help us through this challenging, complex, and beautiful life. That's all I've got. I'm Forrest, the Latter-day Skeptic. Thank you for watching.